All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here tonight at Iowa Speedway. 125 laps will be our scheduled race distance here. You see track length just under a mile here, so I'd say it's going to be, I think, very important for qualifying as they are putting their laps in as we speak. But I say very short track, a lot of room to move around. You can run the high, you can run low. So I say that'll be, I think, critical as well as to try to find the right place on track to position your cars here tonight. So we'll see what these guys have in store for us here, Boomer. But sounds like, again, 125 laps, probably about 50 laps roughly. I was hearing on field, maybe. I don't know if we'll see anybody maybe try to stretch it to maybe like magic 63 laps, let's say, to make it on a one-stopper. But so we've seen crazier things with these guys over here. So they had an off week last week, back into it after Michigan 2 weeks ago. And so it's going to be very, very different racing here tonight.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to one of really the short tracks here for the Indy cars. Definitely a fun track to be here with at Iowa. Definitely glad to be back after our week off. Nice to have a week off, reset, have the nice Memorial Day weekend and get back at it with another week of the season. I believe we got week number 5 this week, right, Gael?
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, so week number 5 here tonight at Iowa. So next week we'll be at the halfway point again. No playoffs with the Indy Series, so I'll say no big change there. But the thing is, next week though, it's going to be a very interesting one. Though, say they're going to be running Monza without the first chicane, so it will be a road course, but it's going to be a very, very fast road course. So I think that one's going to bring a lot of excitement for these drivers here next week. But first, they got tackle, I should say, this 9/10 of a mile oval here at Iowa. And also, we got to pull up the points because we haven't really followed too closely how our points are standing. But with Nick DeGroot's big win last week, or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, at Michigan, it jumps him now 27 points ahead of Jeff Heisong, who is just 1 point ahead of Eric Peterson. And they've kind of snuck away a little bit from Craig Forsyth there in the 4th spot. However, got to note there that Craig only has the 3 starts to their 4, so once you started counting those drop weeks, that's should help propel Craig a little further up the running order as well. So that one drop week won't apply really until later on in the season, so not too big of a concern yet. And then you got Joseph Morales, Dan Marrera tied for 5th along with Andrew Wood. And so, yeah, so got 3-way tie there for 5th. Actually, it looks like a 4-way tie if I'm not mistaken. Joseph, Dan, Andrew, and I'm missing one, or no, I think it's 3. I just can't count today. And then Jim Brooks right there in 8th, Eric Schaus and Matt Wagner rounding out our top 10. But speaking with Matt Wagner though, Boomer, he's not worried about points. He just wants wins, and so he's kind of, that sounds like he's gonna be gunning for it here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. One of those guys you mentioned in that championship battle that I'm going to be looking and keeping an eye on tonight is going to be Andrew Wood. Posted the fastest time in practice and now looking like he is number 1 on the board for qualifying. You'll definitely be looking to see him at the front of this pack here tonight.
Yeah, so Andrew's definitely a tough one to beat. And I actually got to go back to I believe it was Loudon, where it sounds like it was pretty much the Andrew Wood show over there. So say not 100% similar track, but I believe Loudon, is about a 1 mile flat oval. So it's a similar length here, but of course very different with the banking and the multiple grooves. But I'll say maybe Andrew kind of finding a liking to these shorter, faster tracks here. So so maybe Andrew's got something up his sleeve for these guys here tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be exciting for sure. I know when we were at Gateway a couple weeks ago, like we were mentioning, he was the class of the field. So looking to see him try to back that up on another short track here tonight at Iowa Speedway.
So yeah, it looks like qualifying just about completed. Got about 30 seconds left, but so far I'm seeing 12 of the 15 drivers have put a qualifying lap down. So say it looks like we'll have 3 starting towards the back: Jason Hand, Joseph Morales, and Gary Corley. But like you mentioned, though, saying it's a close battle up front, like you said, with Andrew Wood on the up front here by 300 of a second over Nick DeGroot. So I'll say once this formally finishes, we'll pull up that starting grid for tonight's event. But yeah, I'd say what's going to happen though is these laps are going to click off very quickly under green flag conditions in the 16-17 second range. So it's going to be one of those races where you blink and you're going to be 20 laps in without even realizing it.
Yeah, definitely going to be clicking off quick laps here, anywhere between, probably in the longer runs over 17-second laps, but a 16:8:11 for Andrew Wood on the pole and a 16:8:45 for Nick DeGroot on the outside pole. So really, really fast on this 7/8 mile oval.
Yeah, exactly right. And so yeah, so it was right there, 300s for Andrew Wood over Nick DeGroot, and then you got Yari Brubacher and Jim Brooks in row number 2. John Held, a new face over to the series. Recognize the name, the face, but say I think he hasn't been over with the Indy series for a little while. He starts 5th. Craig Forsyth, fellow Canadian, next to him in 6th. And then Eric Peterson, Dan Morera, Matt Wagner, and Julian Altina round out our top 10. And then, yeah, but we're just not a lot. Like I said, a smaller field here tonight. So then, 11th on back, you've got Ryan Steinhoff, Jeff Heisong. And then we mentioned those guys that did not put those laps down: Joseph Morales, Jason Hand, and Gary Corley in 15th. So it looks like the field has just about completed here. So they're just waiting for a few more drivers here to get gridded up, and then they will start rolling off for their pace laps. And then, yeah, so again, 125 laps again here with the Indy Series. There are no green-white checkers, so lap 125 will be the final lap of the race. And, of course, that all-important one fast pair in their pocket should they need it. Of course, the goal is to avoid having to use it, so we'll see if that comes into play or not this evening. And yeah, just right now waiting for those last couple of drivers to hop on here. And it looks like we've got all but one. And there we go. Everybody has made their way to the grid. So we're going to see that pace car roll off here in just a moment. And then it's going to be into the hands of that front row of Andrew Wood and Nick DeGroot.
Excited to see here, like you already mentioned. It'll be interesting to see if anyone does or can manage to stretch the field, but looking like it's probably going to be a two-stopper here tonight. About 125 laps, well, exactly 125 laps, about 50 laps, I think you said earlier, for fuel. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but definitely excited to be back and have some action tonight after, like we said, 1 week off last week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because, yeah, there's a lot of strategies there if you want to split up at, like, pit around, let's say, 40, 42, 41 to kind of split it evenly, or do you want to go a little further? Because, again, the risk of a caution during the pit cycle, I think, is going to be really big here. So I'll say with this being a short track, I believe they are going to go once more around, and indeed they are. So I'll say they'll get this extra lap around the pace car. And yeah, we'll see what these guys have in store for us. But yeah, I think the fuel mileage, that's going to be definitely a big story here tonight. And of course, like I said, I think there's going to be somebody that, even if it's not to make it on a one-stopper, just maybe to try to keep drivers pinned a lap down, I think there will be somebody who's going to kind of pull that strategy, because I have a feeling, once again, I think track position is going to be definitely a premium here tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to make a big difference here. It'll be interesting to see, like you said, cautions and trying to pit under green. Definitely going to be a little bit tricky. I know a lot of drivers trying to pit from third, the turn 3, I should say, versus trying to pit off a turn 4. So it'll be interesting. It's really just driver's discretion, but we've had a couple incidents with people getting in and out of the pits already this season, and looking to potentially have more tonight if these drivers aren't too careful.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there is no formal rule of when to hit pit road if you want to enter off 4, entering 3. So like I said, it's at driver's discretion, just they need to call it out. So we'll see what that strategy is going to be. But first, we got to get this thing underway as Andrew Wood leads that field with Nick DeGroot to his outside. Green flag is down and away. And I'm saying, oh, we got trouble right off the bat there. Yard Brubacher spun the tires, and we've got a big wreck here at the beginning, the very front of the field there. Say Jim Brooks was involved there. Looks like he's got some suspension damage already. I think Yari Brubacher, unfortunately, was kind of got loose on the throttle there, just kind of lit up the tires there. And it looks like also including Joseph Morales and Dan Morera. So tough break for a lot of these guys right off the bat here. Definitely going to be some frustrations in behind the helmets on some of these drivers here that are going to have to burn that fast repair right off the bat here, starting on that initial green flag lap.
Yeah, definitely a terrible break for Yari. He's really had a lot of races kind of fall the wrong way for him so far this season, and unfortunate to see him kind of battling with that bad luck here once again tonight, early too. I mean, we barely took the green flag. Yeah,
so we're going to pull up the replay. We'll run into slow-mo. Say it was a slower start, I think, just again with the way going on green. It definitely was a later start than maybe some drivers were anticipating. But again, with this being a shorter track, maybe the gearing, you can see the 49 just steps out a little bit on the throttle, and as he tries to gather it back, it just hooks straight to the right across the nose of Jim Brooks. And I'm saying that's where the suspension damage happens to the 51. And you see the quick action there by Matt Wagner and Craig Forsyth to sneak through. Unfortunately, you see right there, that's 26 of Dan Marrera, not as lucky. He gets a piece of it. And then also you see Joseph Morales just try to get a woe down there, had to basically lock the brakes up a little bit, and that slid him up into the outside wall there. And so that's where those drivers got their damage from. So I think of the drivers involved, Joseph might get away with just a nose cone change. Hopefully doesn't need a fast repair for that 60 car. So I'll have to keep an eye and see how that all shakes out, because he's still kind of rolling around without that nose cone as they run here. So really kind of a big hit here early for a couple of those guys. But you can see already Jim Brooks looks like he's already got service done to that 51 machine. And then also looking like, I believe, Dan Marrera as well as Yari Brewpocker's rolled out as well here. So now it's just, and there goes Joseph. He is going to hit pit road here. And we do have a few drivers just going to get that little extra splash of fuel here, though, Boomer. Jason Hand and John Held. Honestly, I kind of like this strategy here. You're towards the back anyway. Just get that little bit of extra fuel. And so maybe try to pull that fuel mileage just that ever bit closer to make it on that one stop.
Yeah, I think this is a great call for the guys that are coming back down pit road here. You're really only, 2-3 laps shortening the race, but that takes that pit window from that 63 lap mark, 62 and a half lap mark to about 60, which is more doable for sure, especially if we do have cautions fall the right way for the rest of the race. But yeah, definitely applaud them here. There's not a lot of track position to lose or gain, and not a ton of cars here tonight, so gonna be easy to gamble for sure and try to come out ahead.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the place to gamble, and it does look like that number 60 of Joseph Morales, he did have a lengthy pit stop, so I think they went ahead and just replaced the nose cone as he sat on pit road for about 15 seconds there. So I think he's able to save that fast repair. Hopefully that'll be able to kind of keep him having that available later on. And then, yeah, we do have a few drivers rolling back into pit road here, like the 26 and the 17. I don't think we've had the one to go yet. Lights are still on the pace car in front of Andrew Wood here. So some of these drivers that already did hit pit road could come in even next time around. And so that would already give them maybe not quite a 5-lap average, because, of course, you can run that fuel map 8 for cautions, which really saves fuel. But, again, every little bit you can have an extra in your tank is always, I think, worth the gamble if you're towards the back anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So with all of that, though, it's really jumbled up the running order a little bit. So we have a lot of big gainers and a lot of people that have dropped right off the bat here. Currently, the highest climber at the moment, actually Gary Corley, gained 6 spots just from all that happened, and from the pit stops goes up into the top 10 in 9th position. And then, unfortunately, John Held drops all the way back down to the 15th position in the 17 car. As you see, there goes Yari Brewpocker and Jason Hand rolling down here to top off on that one to go. And so, yeah, so we do have lights off of the pace car here, so it's going to be Andrew Wood leading the field. And now he doesn't have to worry about the initial start where Nick DeGroot can maybe try to get to his outside. So now he can just focus on getting a good restart here, and then he'll have that clean air right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely nice to have those single file restarts here on the leader's discretion. Gives you a chance to maybe break the draft. That was one thing that we saw Andrew be very, very good at Gateway, was being able to make that jump on the restart, and there really isn't as much of an aero effect here. Still a little bit of aero tightness in the corners when you're behind someone, but not nearly as much of the draft as you would see at even the 1.5 mile track. So Andrew was able to jump out and really take that advantage and keep it for most of the run. So look for him to have a very strong restart again.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty spread out restart there as well. So I'll say Andrew's going to have, like you said, pretty good breathing room right off the bat. And pretty much the whole field is really strung out by most cars seem to be about a half a second or so between one another. So yeah, so it's a really good start for Andrew here to sneak away a little bit. Right now the closest battle right here is Jeff Heisong trying to find a way around Ryan Steinhoff here as they get their cars back up to speed. And then also, I believe, Jim Brooks and Dan Marrera right on top of you. Oh, I'm sorry, actually, Jim Brooks, Gary Corley, I should say. And again, some of these guys, they're going to have to be very patient now, a lot more careful than they probably want to be, and not be able to be as aggressive as they could normally. So, and then also Matt Wagner, some pretty good pressure from behind here from Julian Altina in that 31.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lot more space and a lot more gap with these cars at the short tracks, just because, like I said, there's no draft really. So I mean, it really is almost as close to a stock car race as you can get. Short track racing, but obviously these cars are not able to, beat and bang, like the fendered stock cars are. But you don't get as much of the draft here that you would, at the 1.5 miles or anything bigger. I think anything really in IndyCar racing under 1 mile would really be considered a short track. Whereas, or I think, what is it, like 1.3 miles maybe is considered a short track? But
yeah, something along those lines. But man,
yeah.
The driver I'm watching right now, though, here, Boomers, the 31 Julian Altina, he is rim riding this thing, and it is working very well for him. We saw him get around Matt Wagner. He's trying to get to just the corner of Craig Forsyth. He does it, and that top side is allowing him to keep a lot of momentum on exit. So right now, that 6 car is just making really big moves here early on. Now up 6 spots up into 4th. Saying again, we've only had a few laps under green flag conditions here, so I see he hits that bump right there in the 1 and 2 though, and that definitely unsettled that car. So he's going to have to regroup and try to close that gap back down on Eric here.
Yeah, definitely want to try and be careful, because it's pretty easy for the guys in front of you to kind of run you out of room on the tie side there. So for him, definitely want to make sure people know he's there, and looks like he's going to be trying to get around the guy in front of him, which currently is the 36 of Eric Peterson. So definitely a good run for these guys so far, running in 3rd and 4th positions.
Yeah, to me it looks like there's a really nasty bump on the top side in 1 and 2, because we've seen on the onboard a few times Julian hits it and it just completely unsettles his car. So he seems like he has to hit it just right to really kind of keep the car rotating the way he wants to. Maybe he has to breathe it at the right place at the right time, but he is definitely putting the pressure on Eric Peterson, like you mentioned. I say this time he goes a little lower, and you can see he's just trying to creep the nose inside. But yeah, Eric knew he was clear. He definitely went straight back to the top to get himself, kind of prevent him from getting pinned down there. But Julian's not going to stop here. And surprisingly, though, I think he knows the top is where he needs to be. But look at Eric. He's going to start using that line himself here. And you can see right there in that arrow wash that 31 loses about a car length or 2.
Yeah, definitely getting a little bit tight there. Seeming to be a little bit of an issue. He can carry a lot of speed, but it takes him a couple laps to kind of build that momentum and get there. And as soon as Eric kind of, if Eric does jump up just in front of him there, it really makes him plow really tight. And so we'll see. Hopefully it works out for the 31 to continue to do more of this tonight. But I'd love to see the different style, at least different line from Julian there, as Eric almost looked like he was going to try and take away the high side, still ducks down in the second lane or so there.
Yes, and that's the thing. I mean, we see it in pretty much all forms of racing now. I mean, it is a strategy, and it is a thing you can do now, is to take the clean air away. I mean, we even see it in the Cup Series now, where you would see drivers basically try to steal the clean air away from the car behind them to kind of slow down their progress. So I say obviously it's definitely been a known one for Indy cars. So I say that's going to be in Eric Peterson's best defense, is, hey, if I can keep that 31 pinned behind me on the outside, and make him try to have to pass me on the inside, all the better for me. And you can see it's really kind of settled back now, as Eric's been able to drop to about half a second away from the 31 here. It's actually starting to bring Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner just that little bit closer these last couple laps here, as it looks like we have Gary Corley has hit pit road here. Don't believe it's a scheduled stop for Gary, unfortunately. And say it looks like tires and fuel going on. May have caught the wall or something. Oh, actually, no, he's just jumped off the track here, so we'll see maybe an early retirement. There's also Jason Hand on pit road in the 00. And it looks like that car also now taking a tow here. So yeah, it looks like a couple issues for a few of our drivers here tonight, which could leave us down to about 13 drivers on track here. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, Andrew Wood, he's enjoying life right now. I think, like you said, Boomer, hoping that maybe this will be a Loudon, New Hampshire 2.0 here, as he's got about a 2-second gap over Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, definitely. And, they're running pretty similar lap times here, but Andrew Wood has about a 10th of a second faster best lap in that huge jump he got on that restart. So, no surprise here. The two guys that have been the class of the field for most of the season, especially Andrew, the class of the short tracks for Indy cars. Absolutely going to school, putting these guys to shame almost. But still a lot of strong runs out here, even though those guys are the class of the field tonight. But still looking at Eric Peterson having a good solid night already. Obviously, he had quite a few guys from the front of the pack that are now mixing the back with Jari Brupacher, John Held, and Jim Brooks being caught up in that first wreck there. But Eric Peterson up 4 spots, Julian Altina up 6 right now. We also have Ryan Steinoff and Jeff Heisung both up 4 as well. Jeff was on the podium for our Gateway race, so look to see him maybe climb a few more spots. But just settling in for now. Short track runs can go for a while, go a lot of long laps. Well, short laps I should say, but go for a long bit on a long lap count. So we'll see how they settle in here on this long green flag run so far.
Yeah, saying right now, watching Craig Forsyth, he's getting a lot of pressure put on him by Matt Wagner right behind them. And then right behind the Matt Wagner it was about a 3-car battle. It looks like it's about to be a 4-car battle with, like mentioned, Ryan Steinhoff, Jeff Heisung, and Jim Brooks. They've all kind of accordioned into each other here. So I think all these guys trying to kind of get a little bit of a recovery. Obviously, the 51 trying to recover from that lap 1 incident. So, and then a few guys just, I think, probably on cruise control here. As you see, Matt, he's going to send it low here in turns 1 and 2. He's side by side. We'll see if he can slide it in here, maybe try to pull a slide job. But you see he has to slow it down to get it rotated, and that's where that momentum is going right back to that 27 of Craig Forsyth. So that just shows the momentum where it's at up top. And I say it's not going to be for a lack of effort. Matt's going after these spots here. But I think Craig's doing a really good job doing exactly what we saw Eric Peterson do earlier with Julian Altina. And you can see in the distance there, I mean, Eric has checked out. He's got almost 2 seconds now on that number 31 machine. So I think Eric was maybe just trying to work his tires in a little bit and then start to make those moves.
Yeah, definitely. Matt's really trying to move around and try stuff, and I applaud that. He's actually trying to make something different work. You cannot pass the guy that's in front of you if you're running the exact same line, and it looks like he's going to pull inside even with Craig Forsyth, looking to get the position into turn number 1 and 2. They stay side by side so far. Maybe a little advantage of Matt as he comes down the backstretch, but we're going to see maybe he can work on him a couple laps here in a row and finally get this guy cleared, hopefully maybe off the backstretch here. He's definitely making some progress, though.
Yeah, I think what's happening...
Pull down the front stretch and backstretch with the toe a little... Well, not the toe, but the momentum, I should say, really.
Yeah, and I think what's happening right now is I think if we look out the back of Julian Altina, I think he's starting to give Craig a little bit of dirty air, and you see Craig actually drops to the middle lane. I think Craig was starting to just get into the wake of that 31 car, and that was actually giving the bottom lane an advantage. And you can see Craig now, he's actually dropped even lower on track himself here. It honestly also could just be the track starting to transition a little bit here, Boomer, with everybody running that top middle grooves. I'll say that section of the track is going to start to get a little hotter and maybe start to get a little worse grip and wear. So that's where these guys are, okay, it feels like it's not gripping as well here. Let's start moving around here. And I think they found that middle lane, and it seems like that's been working for them now these last couple of laps here. As you can see, pretty much now everybody running that first set of dotted lines there in the middle.
Right, yeah, now it's just about 2200, so it's at 10 o'clock at night at the track in the sim. We got a clear 71-degree sky tonight, and the track is actually 74 degrees, so just about as cool as the air temperature is. Definitely cooling off here later in the evening in the sim world, so definitely expect this to change a little bit. You get a little bit more grip as it cools off. You're not as slick in the hot sun, but sometimes, who knows, sometimes that can free the car up, but a lot of times it can also make it a little bit tighter too, and definitely expect, I would at least expect that cars might get a little bit tighter even as the tires start to wear out here in the long runs.
Yes, and that's the other thing too is, what kind of tire wear and abuse have they been kind of going through here early. So right now, let's say, again, trying to look at lap times and stuff, and it's kind of like we talked about before with Loudon. It seems like right now it's definitely looking like the Andrew Wood show, because looking at lap times, his last time was a 17:76, whereas everybody else is in the 17:09. So he had about 0.2 of a second on the field here. As he runs a 17:73 once again, and he gets a 94 for Nick DeGroot, 98 for Eric Peterson. So yeah, he is just marching away here, about 0.2 a lap here, it looks like, these last few laps. And he's running, though, all the way down to the bottom in 3 and 4, and I believe in 1 and 2 as well. You can see gets a nice little arc, cuts it right down to just about the yellow line there. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on here for that 64. We'll see if anybody kind of tries to mimic that at some point. As I said, well, I was going to say Nick DeGroot does so, but he's actually trying to pass the 60 of Joseph Morales, almost makes contact out of 4. and saying that's also probably what was slowing down the pace of that 89, was just having to try to fight his way through some traffic. And so now maybe this next 2 laps or so we'll get a real good view of maybe what the 89 actually has pace-wise here.
Yeah, definitely will be interesting to see how it goes for sure.
Now, saying the next driver that's going to start being a little bit nervous and watching their mirrors here is the 89 of Jari Brupacher, and I think that's why he's kind of picked up the pace a little bit here, trying to get around Dan Morera, because right now these are the last 2 cars on the lead lap, and they've got maybe half a straightaway, if that, as they will look at the back of Jari Brupacher, and there's the leader right there coming out of turn number 2 of Andrew Wood. So this is where drivers start to get a little bit desperate and make those big moves that sometimes throws off the green flag run. So I think we will probably see Jari and Dan probably start to try to just get a little more aggressive. Jari might get a little more desperate on the attempt to pass that 26 car. But right now, though, I mean, Andrews, and even with the clean air for Nick DeGroot, Andrews on a tear right now. 1780s now to the 18s for pretty much the rest of the field here. So, yeah, Andrews just on a mission right now. But we're going to jump a little further up because, we got one hitting pit road there. Had a little bobble on the entry. And that was the 31 of Julian Altina. He's going to be the first of our leaders to pit here, coming to lap 48. I say now is that nervousness we talked about. That pit entry is definitely going to be dangerous. But now that moves Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth up into the top 5. And Matt is putting all sorts of pressure once again back on that 27.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, definitely not backing down so far. It'll be interesting to see. We do have, like you said, the 2 on pit road right now, pitting a little bit early here, but trying to make something happen as far as strategy goes. Maybe do a little bit of an undercut here. Definitely a lot of laps to play with as far as strategy goes to kind of change it up and either short pit or long pit and do the overcut. But it'll be interesting to see what everyone ends up, what strategy everyone ends up on tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. So as you see right there, we're watching on board, Matt Wagner able to get around Craig Forsyth. And as soon as he does, though, Craig's hitting pit road there in the 27 car, as he looks like he enters off of entering turn number 3. And just gets a well done, almost hit the barrels there, but looks like he held on to it. But we just saw Julian Altina. He was working over Matt Wagner there, I believe it was. So trying to keep an eye on the new tires versus the old tires. So there's going to be a lot of comers and goers right now, as I believe also Eric Peterson has hit pit road in the 36 machine. And so right now we've the pit stops are starting to cycle. The one driver I do kind of want to keep a closer eye on, though, for me, Boomer, is going to be Jari Brupacher. Actually, here comes Nick DeGroot. He's hitting pit road as well, along with Jim Brooks, Dan Morera as well. So I'll say pit stops starting to become a very busy place here on pit road. But again, this is now where these drivers, they want and need this thing to stay green, because they do not want to get trapped one down here.
Yeah, definitely going to want to fight as much as you can. It may be unavoidable, but want to fight as much as you can to stay on the lead lap whenever you can. But looks like most of our drivers are pitting now. Looks like Nick DeGroot, Jim Brooks, and Dan Morera, and Andrew Wood now coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, looks like a nice, clean entry for that 64. And here's the lead he has. We're still watching him. He's on pit road speed already, and still yet to see the second-place car of Matt Wagner. And here Matt comes right there in the distance. There's Matt hitting pit road. There's Ryan Steinhoff hitting pit road behind him. Saying this is at lap 55. So again, we talked about the fuel window. It's definitely not in the window yet for these guys. It's definitely a 2-stopper for everybody here, as this only would get them to about 110. However, Jari Brupacher, as I said, nope, Jari's going to hit pit road as well in the 49 machine. I was curious how far could he go, and the answer is lap 55 for himself as well. So that's going to pretty much complete the cycle. Now it's going to be all about the in and out laps for these guys. So we'll have to keep an eye on Andrew Wood and see where he cycles out, as right now still cycling out as our leader. And trying to see the interval between he and Nick DeGroot, and it looks like it's still going to be a solid about 5 or so seconds. So as I'm going to say, job done for that 64 car here so far. So with everything just about complete, let's run through the field here. Boom, we'll kick it off with our leader, our pole sitter here in that 64 of Andrew Wood, still leading the way. We're on lap 57, so he's pretty much, I think, except for the pit stop cycle, has pretty much been leading flag to flag. So he's got about a 5-second gap over second place Nick DeGroot. Nick right now about 5 seconds back, also started in second. And we'll continue down the order here. You've got the 31 of Julian Altina So he is +7 now. That early pit stop, I think that actually paid off very well for him in that 31, because he has been able to jump around the 36 of Eric Peterson. And actually Craig Forsyth, he jumps to 4th as well there in the 27 car. And then you get to the 5th position of Eric Peterson right there. So not ideal for what the 36 was looking for, unfortunately, in this pit stop cycle. And then Matt Wagner right behind him sits in 6th. Ryan Steinhoff in 7th. And then again, Jim Brooks, trying to recover from that lap 1 incident, is sitting in the 8th position. And then I believe John Held, actually, as Jim, the last car in the lead lap, then you go to John Held there in 9th. The first car 1 down, then followed by Dan Morera and Yari Brupacher. These guys also 1 down. And then the last car 1 lap down here of the 18 of Joseph Morales. Unfortunately, they missed something during the whole cycle there, Boomer, but Jeff Heisong, looks like he is out of this race. We knew about Jason Hand and Gary Corley, but the 18 Jeff Heisong showing out of the race as well, unfortunately, though. So early exit for one of our podium finishers recently.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for him tonight. That will put only 12 cars left in this race. Definitely a shorter field tonight. Maybe a little bit afraid of the short tracks, but definitely appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Still got 12 cars running strong here at Iowa Speedway tonight, working on lap number 62, it looks like. So just about getting to the halfway mark here. And yeah, been a fairly quiet race so far, other than one incident really to start the race, but it's been green flag ever since.
Yeah, I say that the big hiccup at the start. I say, but you're right though. Pretty much clean and green since. As say right now we're hop on board with the 6 of Matt Wagner's. He's trying to get into the top 5 around that 36 of Eric Peterson. And I say I think Matt's been probably one of the ones that's feels like he's been having to work the hardest. It feels like so far in this race. We've seen him pretty much trapped to the inside of these guys a lot here. And when we saw earlier in the race too how good Eric Peterson is running that outside line. As we saw Julian Altina try to get around him earlier and eventually fell off by about a second and a half here. So I think Eric knows just how hard to run his car here and kind of just play defense until kind of the same thing gets the tires about where they need to be, and then he can really set himself free and start trying to chase down Craig Forsyth and Julian Altina once more. Yeah, right now this is by far the closest battle on track. However, the 51 of Jim Brooks is starting to close the gap a little bit on Ryan Steinhoff. But as I say that, there's the 64 Andrew Wood. He actually gets around that number 51. So now that puts Jim to the first car 1 down. And so, I mean, again, we talk about the pace that the 64s had at Loudon. And he's, like I said, he's doing exactly where he left off there, because he is just on a tear now. With, again, that initial caution to start off the race, and then from here we've been green flag all the way through. I mean, Andrew's now lapped up to 8th place, and he's got pretty much, I mean, he's got the top 3. I should say he could probably lap up to 3rd here with not too much difficulty here, Boomer, because he's 11 seconds ahead of Julian Altina, and right now they're running 17-18 second laps. So, I mean, he is only about 7 seconds behind our 3rd place car here as they run.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of had a feeling he'd be the class of the field. I mean, still a long way to go, but he's definitely still putting on that clinic that we've seen so far. Yeah,
so again, you look at the time, it's like, okay, it's a couple seconds, but then again, at the pace of this track here, I mean, he's over half a lap ahead of the 3rd place car, and probably a solid, probably about 1/3 of a lap at least ahead of Nick DeGroot as well. So that's the pace that he's got right now. And so you see right there also now able to get around that 74 of Ryan Steinhoff. And I think that's the most impressive part to me here, is for what Andrew's able to do is he can pass these cars, and we've seen other guys just they get there, but then they can't do anything with it. But I mean, we hop on board here with that 64. He gets in there, he can clear him, get the power back down, and get back up top. As soon as, of course, as I say that, he can't get around the 60 that time by of Joseph Morales, but now he gets a really good run on entry and easily clears. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he is just the pace that car has and the passing abilities. He's definitely got that setup dialed in here.
For sure, yeah. Putting Joseph Morales down 2 laps. Next car, I believe he'll be looking to lap will be the I think the 26. Put the 26 of Dan Morera 2 laps down as well.
Yes, and then next to go from a lead lap to a lap down is going to be Eric Peterson, who's not that far ahead. I was saying, unfortunately, Matt Wagner missed the pass, and Matt was able to get around Eric there. But I'd say right there, that next car line, that is our race leader of Andrew Wood. So I'll say once Andrew gets to Eric here, then it's not too far away from Matt. And then Craig I'm sorry, Matt's looks like he's starting to put the bit between his teeth because he's already chased down Craig Forsyth. So I think Matt knows where that 64 car is, and he's just trying to put as much distance as he can between he and Andrew Wood.
Yeah, decent run tonight so far for Matt, trying to put in a top 5 effort and maybe try to get a little bit more here as the race goes on. He's got decent pace right now. That last lap, he's a 10th faster than the guy ahead of him. That's Craig Forsyth in 4th place. So look for him to try and start challenging maybe the podium spots if he can get around Craig. Maybe try to start challenging Julian Altina, who's had an incredible run so far as well. He's our biggest mover so far, up 7 positions in the podium placings, right behind Andrew Wood and Nick DeGroot in 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, so right now Matt's, like I said, he's trying to find any way. And say again, we saw what Julian did on that first pit stop. He pitted at 47. Everybody else pitted around 40, about 50, I should say, or later. So to me, I think that should be something that these drivers are going to have to be aware of. As see Matt gets to the inside here of Craig. Craig's got the momentum out of the turn 2. But let's see if Matt can maybe pull a slide job here in 4, and the answer will be no. But it wasn't for a lack of effort there. So Matt's going to have to regroup and try again here on Craig Forsyth. And we're going to go a little bit further back because actually Eric Peterson just gets passed now by Ryan Steinhoff. And that's the lucky dog battle. If there's a yellow, that would put the 74 back onto the lead lap here. So that's a very important pass there by that 74 as Andrew Wood continues to kind of pick him up and put him down here. As they say, looking up in front of him, he's got about a half a turn away from Craig and Matt here. As Matt's once again going back after it here through 3. But I say Craig's going to continue to fight strong here on the outside through 4.
Got to give him an A for effort for trying something. But yeah, definitely a big deal for Ryan Steinhoff to be the first car 1 lap down here. That's going to be huge if anything were to happen here, as we're probably getting a little bit close to the second set of pit cycles. Maybe within the next 20 laps or so, you'll start people coming in for our final stop of the race.
Yeah, I think based on what we saw in that first one, I think honestly, Matt Wagner, I think would be a good candidate for just to try to take a gamble and make that big aggressive call to come in early. Like I said, we saw how effective it was for Julian Altina. And right now, the pace of these guys, their best laps are in the 17.2, 17.3s. And right now, they're down into about the 17.9s, the 18. So it's maybe about 0.8 of a second, maybe 3/4 as Craig Forsyth, he hits pit road. So he's going to be the first of our leaders, or lead lap drivers, I should say, to pit. Which of course will knock him down a lap as, a big aggressive entry. Hopefully got it woe down in time because that car definitely had a pretty big bobble there trying to get down to speed. And Nick DeGroot, not a surprise to see Nick gamble. He's got to try something to try to bring that gap down on Andrew Wood. And we'll see, does Andrew have to maybe consider reacting to Nick DeGroot? Because maybe there will be, if you get enough pace over enough laps, that could put Nick right into the mix here, depending on how quick he can get up there.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Andrew Wood stay out very long, as we're going to see Matt Wagner come down this time. Yeah, definitely at this point probably need to answer that call sooner rather than later, although I think Andrew has the pace to really do just about anything he wants here.
It kind of feels that way. You're not wrong there. And saying this is where I might even think about kind of playing the opposite game, though. If you're some of those guys who maybe pitted a little bit later, like a Jari Brupacher, maybe just run this thing out as far as you possibly can, just in case you maybe get cycled out with a timely caution. But right now, Andrew, it looks like he's content here. He's just going to run this thing possibly all the way out on fuel. As I say, Matt Wagner, Ryan Steinhoff have completed their stop. So we'll wait to see as Julian Altina now, he hits pit road. So pretty much of the leaders, that's completing our pit stop cycle, other than our race leader of Andrew Wood. And then we go start getting to the cars that have not made their second stop yet, like Eric Peterson and Jim Brooks, who are in a pretty tight battle here for the first spot 1 down here for that lucky dog battle, if you will. So again, if by chance there's a caution, we've seen crazy things happen during the pit stop cycle. So, but you saw, I think people learned from Julian, though, Boomer, because he's now one of the last ever leaders to pit. And I don't think it's kind of pan out for him as well as it did before. We'll have to see where he kind of officially cycles out here in that 31 car to see where he is on track. But Right now, Andrew Wood, though, he has got a handful here with Craig Forsyth, and there he goes. Look, Craig able to get around that 31, and that was exactly what that short pit strategy was for that 27 that he was looking to do.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference to have good pit strategy, especially on a short track like this. And it looks like we're going to see the 64
Here he comes.
Finally dive down in pit road and get his last service of the night.
Yeah, so while we're watching that, I believe Matt Wagner, nope, didn't quite do it. I thought Matt was able to get around Julian Altina, but did not quite happen there. So right now, our current leader afterwards, once the pit stop cycle through, I believe will go to Eric Peterson. But of course, as soon as I say that, here comes Eric. He's going to hit pit road here in that number 20, or sorry, the 36 car. That's going to actually cycle Jim around. I think will either be the leader or the second position here, depending on where he cycles around Andrew Wood. It looks like, yeah, right now Jim's showing as our leader here. Of course, still has to pit, as do Yari Brupacher and Dan Marrera. But I'll say this is definitely, this is the gamble I think you've got to put right now. If you're in this position, you might as well take this gamble and just hope that you get that. Someone makes some mistake on pit entry, pit exit, maybe with those fresh tires, but right now hasn't panned out. But actually, did I just see Andrew? Oh, Andrew's got troubles here, Boomer. He's slowed down on the apron, and that car is just rolling right now, and I'm not sure what happened here to Andrew Wood.
And I look back at the replay here. He might have had an issue getting back onto the track.
So he's going to see if he gets back on track. He's going to hit. Yeah, he's rolling back on track right now in that 64 car. So yeah, something big happened to Andrew. This is going to completely change his race perspective right now, because I believe he's going to fall back now behind, possibly even a lap, I think, behind our net leaders here. So we'll wait and see and let this all cycle through. I'm trying to see if I can find what happened to Andrew.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. It looked like he came off of pit road down the backstretch and slowed down just to the inside of the track. And, oh, maybe internet connectivity issues? I see him blinking there a couple times on my replay that you may not be seeing live. But I don't know. Definitely some issues. Maybe some controller, or not controller, or maybe some hardware issues or
something,
software issues or internet. I don't know, but definitely really weird.
Yeah, definitely an odd situation. So right now what we do have those, we have about 4 cars that have yet to pit here. Jim Brooks right now, our leader, looks like he's about to peel off, and yet there he comes. He's going to hit pit road at 25 to go. So he ran that thing as far as he could. Was hoping for that lucky yellow. Didn't get it, unfortunately, as he jumps into pit road, as does Dan Marrera. Yari Brupacher now, he stays out here. He's going to continue to lead and try to get some laps under his belt. Again, I think Yari's the same thing. He's just got to try to stretch this thing as far as he can, which would then leave Joseph Morales as, I believe, the last to hit pit road. So once Yari finishes his pit stop, I believe that will complete the cycle. Then we'll have to kind of see where the field is all kind of situated with one another, because, yeah, this is really shaking up our running order here.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see Yari staying out as long as he can. It shows that he pit last at lap 5, but I'm going to definitely say that that's a mistake on my information here. But definitely trying to stay out later and try to make something out of what was just a real bad situation at the beginning of this race for Yari. Like we've mentioned, his woes have not stopped this entire season. So collected in a lot of things that were not necessarily his fault or his doing. And
we got John Held up. No, so he was stuck in the wall, but he is able to pull himself off of it. So we will stay green. I'll say that could have definitely been a big moment, as now here comes Yari. He is going to hit pit road. And this should pretty much, I believe, complete our pit stop cycle, as Joseph Morales is also on pit road here. So that is going to net cycle Nick DeGroot to the point here. And he's got about at least a full straightaway lead over Craig Forsyth. And the question mark about where Andrew Wood is, he is still on the lead lap here, but about 15 seconds out back. So yeah, whatever issue that 64 had really, unfortunately, kind of just is at this point kind of dooming his race here. So yeah, actually, looks like Julian Altina and Matt Wagner having a good little battle here for third now. And it looks like Matt's going to grab that spot away from that 31. So move Matt now up into that podium position.
Yeah, definitely a big advantage for Matt to capitalize. He finally was able to get around the 31. Hasn't been able to get, or well, was able to get around the 27 just before the last pit stop for the 27 tonight here. So he was able to drive around him, and then the 27 came down pit road. So definitely a hard fought battle so far for Matt Wagner. We do have a 3-way tie for our hard charger, which would be Matt, Julian, and Ryan. Third, fourth, and fifth back to back to back in this pack. But looking further back in the pack, we do actually see Jim Brooks running some very, very quick laps right now. He is a couple tenths of a second faster. Oh no!
Yeah, as they got maybe just a little tight on exit, got into the side of Andrew Wood. Andrew's around, and we are under yellow. And you're right, though. He was making some pretty good lap times there, but unfortunately, right there at the very end, just a little bit of contact. We'll go back and take a closer look at it here. As you see the 51 down low, Andrew up high. May have been a little bit of net code involved here as well here, but we'll watch as we get to the exit. And yeah, unfortunately,
I feel like that was just tight racing, good, clean racing, and unfortunate.
Oh yeah, just a little bit of net code. It looked like Jim had it about centered, and then yeah, just unfortunately the net code giveth and taketh away, and unfortunately not what Andrew was looking for there. So that's going to put us under yellow here, and this is going to be a very interesting scenario for strategies here, as Andrew does a great job to hang on to that car and keep pointing in the right directions. But do we see pit strategies? And the answer will be yes. Nick DeGroot's going to stay out for track position, as is Matt Wagner and Ryan Steinhoff. But then you've got Craig Forsyth here going to lead the leaders onto pit road and going to hope that these new tires can make a big difference here, as we're going to have a restart with just outside of 10 to go. It looks like Craig will win that race off of pit road. Probably just tires. Again, these guys will probably try to keep these things as light as possible. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, so basically though, we'll see. Because I know also IndyCar has a bit different rules on getting the leaders and the lap cars kind of back in line with one another. So actually, as I said, John Held looks like he's going to roll onto pit road, so should be a non-issue here. Matt should be able to roll right up to the back of the 89 car. And somehow Andrew Wood's just been able to just limp that wounded machine to pit road as well. So, man, that's a heartbreaker for Andrew. Say obviously the dominant car here tonight had whatever hiccup it was that cost him all that track position. And then from there, just everything went south, unfortunately for him. So
he was still charging there at the end too. He was probably going to get passed by Jim Brooks, who kind of did the overcut there at the end, but he was still at least probably going to catch, I think, the 36 of Eric Peterson, maybe the 31 of Julian Altina. But yeah, unfortunate there for sure.
All right, so now here's the story, though, I think, Boomer. Our top three last pitted at 85 and 86, and then you got Craig Forsyth at 109, so 23 lap fresher tires for this number 27 car of Craig Forsyth. Will that be enough to offset the difference in track position and try to find his way around the 74 and possibly the 6 to have a chance at Nick DeGroot? Again, I believe Craig pitted from second, so obviously that's going to be, I think, his goal is to at least get back to there. And I think this is his best chance, of course, to try to find a way to get into that top spot. So we'll have to wait and see here. I believe we're still on the 2 to go, if I'm not mistaken. And looking at the pit time here, it looks like it was a pretty lengthy stop for the 51. And it looks like he's actually rolling back onto pit road. So I think, again, he had to burn his fast repair right off the bat, so didn't get to use it on this occasion. He's just going to try to get that damage fixed manually here, unfortunately for him. And then on the Lucky Dog side of things here, it'll be between Andrew Wood, Dan Morera, and John Held, with currently Andrew Wood holding that position. So I'll say for Andrew, probably hoping for a quick yellow. That way he can get right back onto the lead lap and just maybe see if he can salvage maybe a solid top 5 at least, or who knows with his pace.
We'll have to be careful, though, because we're definitely getting close to the end of this race. And if we get to a situation where we are having a late race yellow, I believe the race could end under yellow following the IndyCar rules. So no green, white checkers here that you would see, kind of like that, keeping it authentic to the IndyCar series in real life rules here in the Area 51 IndyCar League as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so there are no green-white checkers. So yeah, so once you get to about probably 5-4 to go, if there's yellow, that will most likely end the race. So yeah, so that's definitely going to be on these guys' minds, and I think that's just going to ramp the intensity up on these restarts, honestly, because they know that there's no like, okay, I'm going to wait for the last lap to make my move. It's, hey, I don't know when, if and when there's going to be yellow, so I got to get my move done now. So we'll see. We'll see what Matt can do. Again, we talked about going into it. He's been really gunning for a win here, and I say now he's finally got himself in a good position to do so. But he's going to have a very, very difficult Nick DeGroot to find his way around.
Yeah, we did see Jim Brooks really coming through the field there at the end with fresher tires. So we'll have to see. Obviously, Nick DeGroot's going to have to get a good restart, and if he can, he may be able to hold him off pretty easily. But he'll have Matt Wagner right on his tail trying to restart and not let him get a good jump here as they'll come off of 4. And the green flag will fly for Nick DeGroot with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, you can see he gets a couple car length lead here as he builds up the speed. Saying again, leader has control, so basically it's Matt just has to be as quick as he can on the draw. And say again, the other car we got to watch here is right there is that 4th place of Craig Forsyth, as he's going to duck straight low here to look under. Ryan Steinhoff can't do it, has to back off a little bit. Probably also still build some temps in those tires as we're down to 11 to go. But man, Nick has checked out by about a second already. So we'll see if Craig can do anything at this point. But right now it's looking pretty good here for this 89 car as he is just checked out from the field.
Yeah, and I don't think that's too surprising. It looks like Matt Wagner might be a little low on pace there, maybe bobbled off of turn 4. Now he's lost about 5/10 or half a second that lap, and Steinhoff is all over the back of him now, trying to challenge for second place. But we're clicking down the laps with 9 to go now, with Nick DeGroot in the lead, Matt Wagner in second, Ryan Steinhoff in third, Craig Forsyth and Julian Altina rounding out your top 5 here in the late stages of this race at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, unfortunately, Eric Peterson, unscheduled pit stop, I believe, must have had contact somewhere. So I'm going to try to go back and take a quick look to see if we can find what happened to Eric Peterson here in that 36 car. We'll speed up here on the replay, see if we can get a good view of it. May have happened on the restart, so that's why you say we're not running on slow-mo. They just haven't got back to green here yet. So trying to see if we can find what exactly happened. And, well, let's see.
Oh, we got to spin around the backstretch. Looks like Ryan Steinhoff.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
wall.
74.
There's going to be no yellow, though.
Yeah, we do stay green, so say as we just catch the end of that, so you see he grabs the gear, gets going. Looks like no suspension damage, so might get away, but Nick DeGroot's still kind of sneaking away. But here comes Craig Forsyth, though, with those fresh tires. He has gotten to the back of Matt Wagner. He's going to cut low, see if he can make it stick. The answer is not yet, as we're down to 5 to go. So right now, again, Craig's trying to get himself back to where he was prior to this caution. As we saw what he and Matt were able to do earlier, as they are tight off of 2, but continues to hold that spot.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan just getting loose off of turn number 2, unfortunately, and sailing it off into the inside wall. So unfortunate here for him, as he was having a very good run in these late stages.
Yeah, no, he's definitely had a really solid run going. And also, you mentioned the unfortunate contact with Jim Brooks and Andrew Wood, but honestly, that caution has kind of saved the race of Jim Brooks, because he's all the way now back up into the 5th position. But we stay here on this battle for the 2nd spot between Craig and Matt, because they are going just tooth and nail.
Yeah, which is actually getting close to the leader. They're now within 0.8 of a second of Nick DeGroot, whereas they had almost over 1.5, maybe 2 seconds. So definitely pushing hard here, or maybe Nick just kind of coasting to the end, not sure, but they are closing in within 0.7 of a second, as we are going to be coming down the backstretch and coming around to get the white flag this time by.
Yeah, so say you're right, though. They are closing that gap on Nick DeGroot. Wonder if maybe he was too greedy on fuel, having to back his pace down a little bit. Because these last laps, though, Matt has been about a 10th or so quicker. It looks like it might be a story of too little too late, as Nick is off of 2. Just needs to get through 3 and 4 here without any sputters. And we'll see if he can make it happen. But, man, they are closing
too wide
quick.
for a second.
Oh, we have a big wreck. It looks like off of 2 here between Yari Bruparker and Jim Brooks, and so that's, as I said, that was after the white, so that one stays green. You can see you got Jim Brooks hooked onto the 60 car here as well. They're trying to get off of one another, but yeah, Nick DeGroot gonna get the one. We'll go back. We'll take a look at that. You got Julian Altina here. He's just trying to ride the wall here to keep that car going to get a 4th position. And man, this completely changed the end results of this one, as there Julian, I'll say, for not for lack of effort to get to the cross start finish line, but here comes Jari Brubacher doing the same. Man, we'll go back and we'll look at that. But yeah, Nick DeGroot though gets the win here tonight.
Yep, good win for Nick. Obviously, some unfortunate incidents for Andrew Wood, but he does still come home 7th after all that late race drama. Looks like Jim Brooks was going towards the bottom in turn number 2 on the white flag.
Yeah, just got into the left rear of Julian Altina.
Yeah, I don't know if Julian didn't know he was coming down there, but Jim had a big run, and Julian just kind of getting low, and probably more of a racing incident than anything. But I think Jari Brubacher just had nowhere to go and finally collected. I mean, his
4th, 5th, and 6th get collected, and then it's just kind of who can get going first. And I was saying the other problem that happens is, there goes the 60 of Joseph Morales, and that was probably Jim's thought too. Is like, hey, I can get out of here. And then here comes the 60, and they actually get hooked onto each other. And so I'll say at that point, there's nothing they could do. So
it looked like the 60 just locked up the brakes trying to avoid it and slid right into it instead.
Yeah, so not the way they wanted to end that one, but definitely a wild one. As you can see, the fireworks going off there. But let's pull up our final results here, Boomer, before we get to our interviews, as it will be Nick DeGroot getting the win over Matt Wagner and Craig Forsyth there. Like you said, it was a great battle for second. Matt able to just hold on even with Craig's fresher tires. And then Julian Altina riding that wall to hang on to a lead lap finish there in 4th. And then, unfortunately for Jim Brooks, Jari Brubacher, say that puts them down 1 lap. But I think the heartbreak of the night, though, goes to that 7th position of Andrew Wood. Just dominant tonight, but obviously something went wrong. And then just it went from bad to worse for him in that number 64 car. And then you got Dan Marrera, John Held, Eric Peterson rounding out our top 10. And saying same thing, we missed what happened to Eric as well, because I know he was up front, and I think there must have been some contact either on a restart or where. But he had to come in unscheduled pit stop for him in the 36. And then Joseph Morales, Ryan Steinhoff, Jeff Heisong, Gary Corley, and Jason Hand are 15 finishers tonight. All right, Boomer. So I think that brings us over to our battle for the 3rd spot. And we'll kick it off with our 3rd place finisher of Craig Forsyth. So we're going to bring Craig on in over here. And so, Craig, it was kind of do you, I think, play for second, or do you take the gamble, get some tires, and see if you can do something else with it? And, I mean, you got to 3rd. It was a great battle between you and Matt there at the end. I mean, are you happy with the gamble, or is it one of those in hindsight, it's like, maybe you should have taken tires, or not taken tires and just kept the track position?
Oh no, I'm perfectly happy with the decision. It was the right decision. I couldn't make the tires work like they should have worked. Those guys were defending well for having 30 lap old tires. I had visions of blowing by them in 2 laps. So
passing was definitely at a premium. And I was saying it seemed like the outside was where you had to be to kind of keep that momentum built up and then be able to make some stuff happen there. And I think obviously everybody kind of caught on to that pretty early on, because there was a lot of drivers running that middle to the top lane. I mean, was that something you knew right off the bat in practice, or at what point did you know that's like, okay, if I'm going to pass somebody, I know they're gonna make me go low, or vice versa. If someone wants to pass me, I'm going to make them go low myself.
I thought it was going to take about 20 laps for the high line to wear in, and then Julian blew by me on like lap 4 on the high line, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess the high line's working already, and that was the end of me avoiding the high.
Yeah, so it was definitely. I mean, it definitely showed that the Highline worked. And I was saying the other thing was the 2 green flag pit stops. I mean, we saw Julian, he short pitted on that first one and gained some pretty solid track position. And then we saw you were one of the earlier ones to go in the second time around. Was that basically in response and kind of noticing what the 31 was able to accomplish? It's like, okay, hey, if I short pit, I can probably jump a few guys. Or, I mean, what was the thought process on the pit strategies here tonight under green?
I knew the short pit is the way to go. It's just, it's so dangerous to do. But basically, I with Matt, I mean, Matt was faster than me anytime we were on equal tires. So that, which is of course why I chose to get new tires, because if I'd stayed out, he would have gone in.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. But
at that point, like the second Matt passed me on before the first pit stop, he passed me, I immediately went in. That was the call.
Nah, so I think you're. I'd say luckily it didn't affect you in the race, but I think your headset's having a few technical difficulties, kind of cutting out here and there on you, Craig.
Okay.
But I mean, all around, I mean, still a great effort for you tonight to still bring it back home in third, despite everything that was going on. And yeah, just an exciting one for you guys tonight. So a little shorter grid, but I mean, still you guys put on a really good show. So definitely want to give you the floor here, though, for thanks and shouts for that podium here tonight.
Oh, I've got to thank Jim over at 40 Racewear. I need was too busy tonight to be able to make the race, which is unfortunate. But good supporter of the team and good supporter of the league, and of course you.
Yeah, so unfortunately it cut out again on it. But yeah, no, and I do agree with you. I'll say I definitely missed Jim Herrick tonight, but I'll say hopefully the missing the race is a good news situation that I'll say things are going well over there with 40 Racewear. And like you said, definitely a big supporter and help with the league. I'll say definitely appreciate everything that he does for us over here. But yeah, just a great job tonight, Craig. Love the gamble at the end. I just need that little bit more to have a chance to jump after Nick there at the end. But definitely a good result here tonight. I say getting some points back after missing one a few weeks back. So looking forward to seeing what you got for the rest of the season, sir.
You betcha, Kyle. Stay safe.
All right, that's going to jump us now, Boomer, over to our second place finisher, and that is going to be Matt Wagner. I'm torn. I don't know if this is going to be one of those happy with the runner-up result or frustrated because it's one of those. It was definitely a race where I mean it was pretty much the Andrew Wood show, and then obviously had something happen to him to kind of bump him down the running order. Then that late yellow, but I mean you were probably Boomer and I were noticing. I mean you were working pretty much all the passes you could do on everybody here and there. I have a feeling that sound right there is kind of your thoughts of the race and maybe feeling like you deserve a cold one there after that one.
Oh yeah, most definitely. How you doing, guys? Second 2 weeks, 2 weeks in a row. It's by the same guy, but that race was quite interesting. It took me a while to figure out where everybody was running. So early in the race, I had a hard time passing Craig, and it was just quite the battle. And I had sitting there just thinking, how am I going to get around this guy? And sure enough, that high line was key. And getting toward the end of the race, I had to do the same thing back right to Craig. So it kind of like shoe was on the other foot.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun to watch you guys kind of duke it out there, and because I mean Boomer and I were noticing it seemed like more often than not you were working somebody over here tonight. So on the plus side, I mean it wasn't all for naught because you do wind up being the highest climber tonight with the 7 positions gained, like I said, from that 9th up into 2nd. So not all bad, I guess. But I mean, of course, I know you want to get that one better, of course, but I mean, still as a whole,
exactly.
a great job though tonight to get through and to say, I mean, honestly, with the timing of the yellows and strategies and stuff, I'll say it could have gone a lot different here tonight because it was kind of a tale of two races with the long green runs and then unfortunately that hiccup for Andrew. And then that caution just kind of threw everything on its head where it's like, okay, do you pit? Do you stay out? And the strategy kind of became key there.
So some insider info. Andrew had a program pop up on his screen and kind of forced him to try and force to close it while he was in iRacing, and it cost him a lot of time, and that was kind of bad for him. So I feel bad for him. We all should have finished second behind him because he clearly had the best driving skills here.
Yeah, I say Boomer and I were talking. Kind of felt like Loudon 2.0. I mean, he kind of just ran away with the show there, and he was definitely on course to do the same here tonight. But yeah, so no, definitely an unfortunate one for Andrew to have that happen, and that's the downsides of sim racing is it's you've got stuff on your computer, and unfortunately sometimes they decide that they think they're more important than what you're actively doing. So yeah, definitely a tough one there, and yeah, Andrew, feel for you, man. We're definitely sorry that that you had the bad luck with that one tonight. But yeah, I mean, a great job though for you, Maz. I mean, if not for him, I mean, you still would have been fighting very hard there for a podium with Craig and Julian and those guys. So it was a really good fight with you. Like I said, you felt like you were in the middle of a lot of battles all race long. So
it was fun.
Definitely a hard fought one tonight.
Great. You want to say something, Boomer? Oh, Boomer's not here.
I think I stepped away for a second. Yeah, so
I got you.
But no, I definitely want to give you the floor though. I say, because I know you've got some good help and everybody that's able to bring you over here. So definitely want to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts for that runner up here tonight.
Well, I like to thank 4D Racewear and all of the sponsors that Jim Herrick has brung here. Green White Trucker TV, as you guys do a fantastic job as per usual. Me on Sundays, thank you very much. I got a new microphone, so it's all good. So, I like to thank my parents for watching the broadcast, even though they don't talk. And your dad, especially. I'm looking forward to him getting to a 100% full recovery. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Second place on it is not that bad, but I want to get that one extra.
Yeah, it's keeping yourself put yourself in position and say at some point it is going to wind up happening. So, no, so definitely not one to put your head down on tonight, Matt. Like I said, you definitely had to work hard to get up into that position tonight in general. So, enjoy this one. Appreciate everything that you do for the league on the indie side, of course, on the broadcasting side, selfishly with me on Sundays. So, it'll be fun to catch another race with you in a few more nights. So, enjoy this one though, sir, and we'll chat soon.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
All right, that's going to pass things over now to our race winner here, Boomer, and that is going to be the 89 of Nick DeGroot. And man, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, it was pretty much. I mean, if there was anybody that was going to have a chance, it looked like at Andrew, it was going to be Nick. And I say, unfortunately, took some bad luck for Andrew there at the end, but. I mean, it was basically at one point we were watching the timing and scoring, Nick, and it's like, all right, if this thing stays green and Andrew keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to be lapping probably up to about third spot. So you were kind of the lone man out there. It's like, okay, yeah, he's safe from getting lapped, but I mean, how rough is that when we just see that 64 just kind of putting the smackdown on everybody, and then you see the pit stop and then the issue that the hiccup he has, and it's like, well, this just changed things.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew is just on another level at these short ovals, always is. And once I lost the pole to him in qualifying, I'm like, all right, I'm probably looking at best here second, because it's hard to pass to begin with. It's really hard to pass Andrew at a place like Iowa. So I was just trying to get a good restart right after that, because I thought that would be my really only opportunity to get him. And then later I was like, okay, maybe we can do the undercut. But at that point, he was already so far away. I cut his lead in half by doing that, and he was still 3 seconds left the road, I think. And then, of course, he had his issue. Took some bad luck for him to give us the win. So, yeah, kind of fell. That one kind of fell into my lap. So, not gonna complain. There's plenty that you think you should have won, and they get taken away from you. So it's nice when there's one you really shouldn't have won, and kind of gets handed you on a silver platter. And it was good to have a good clean race too. Really, really nothing happened. Had a bit of a close call with a lap car there with Joseph, which is my own fault. But beyond that, we didn't make any mistakes. Didn't put a foot wrong. The end was pretty nerve wracking though. Those guys had fresh tires coming.
Yeah, and that was I was curious on the restart. Was okay. Let's see what Craig can do with those fresh tires. But I mean, pretty much you took off. I mean, you were gone. I mean, you were putting about a second or so on them right off the bat. But I say at the very very end, they started creeping in just a little bit by little bit, kind of 10th by 10th a lap there, where I think they got to about a half a second or so. Was that you just kind of managing your pace, or was that maybe just you giving everything you had to get away from them, and the tires kind of deciding to get mad at you on those closing couple laps there?
Well, I had Eric come out from the pits, and that gave me dirty air for a couple laps before he got away with the new tires, and that kind of messed up my rhythm, which is my own fault. But they got within a second there, and then after that, they were just coming, because I was focusing on blocking Craig and giving him dirty air, because he was extremely fast with those tires, which gave Matt all the clean air. So he was coming on the outside. I'm like, this isn't working out the way I hoped. So they were, instead of stopping both of them, I was kind of helping both of them coming that way. So yeah, it's good that we held on, because I think a few more laps they would have been right on me, the both of them.
Yeah, it definitely started getting tight at the end. I was saying, like you said, I mean, yeah, you did need a little bit of a break with Andrew to get there, but at the same time, too, I mean, you still had to beat the Matts and the Craigs and the Yaris and the Julians. So it's like, it wasn't one of those ones where it's like, okay, something happened to Andrew. Okay, well, I've got it in the bag. I mean, there were still some very fast cars they had to take care of tonight. So I say, don't want to make anybody think that it was like a walk in the park once that all happened.
It was gonna be until that caution, and threw us for a loop there right at the end.
Yeah, and I was saying, yeah, that definitely changed a big complexion. Like I said, the strategy, track position versus tires, and now it was a lot of fun to see how it panned out. And yeah, I mean, it was an exciting one here tonight. But definitely want to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts for getting that win here this evening.
Yeah, thank you as always, Factory Back Motorsports. Nice to get another win here, extend that points lead a little bit. Everybody on board our car from CovenMore.com, Motorsport.com, DeGrid Automotive U-Haul and Detailing, Canvas Shoes, Blaze Pods, Cowboy Shit, and everybody else who supports the team. Awesome, going for a second title here, and I'm feeling pretty confident right now. Hopefully we can keep up this momentum. There's some interesting tracks coming up.
Yeah, that you're not wrong. I say we were looking at the Monza coming up next week without the first chicane at least. That should avoid a little bit of chaos. But yeah, that's going to be definitely an eye opener. I have a feeling for a lot of guys there. But just awesome job though tonight, Nick. Like I said, just keeping yourself in position because you don't know what's going to happen in these races, and that's why you do it. You kind of go lap after lap and see if you get the right break at the right time, which was able to happen for you tonight, man. So. Like you said, a few of them got away from you before, so this is kind of one of those ones that kind of you may feel like you got back. So enjoy this one, and looking forward to seeing you over in Italy next week, sir.
Yep, thank you, guys.
All right, Boomer, that is our race winner tonight in that number 89 as he continues to celebrate as we show on the replay. But yeah, definitely a kind of a wild one with the two, again, kind of a tale of two races. I'd say it was kind of the Andrew Wood show once again, that first half, 3/4 of the race, and then unfortunately some computer programs decided they were more important than iRacing for them, and unfortunately that kind of put things back away to open the door for Nick and Matt and Craig, and then of course that the caution that definitely changed the complexion on the restart side of things, and definitely made it a big sprint there to the end.
Yeah, definitely. That can be one of the downfalls to sim racing sometimes, where you see some, computer issues or network issues. Network issues being probably the most common, but it's maybe not a new one, but a fairly rare one, at least, with programs popping up over top. So definitely hate that for Andrew and his run tonight. Obviously, a great battle for him at Iowa, but looking forward to our first left and right hand turn track of the season at Monza, 25 laps on June 7th next Tuesday. So definitely have to make sure you guys check back in next week and watch as we have some fun turning right this time.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to be the avoid the kitty litter race on that one for those guys. And as saying, we're going to have tire compounds. We're going to have push to pass. There's going to be a lot of things that drivers have to get re-familiar with that we don't have here at the Ovals. So, but yeah, like you said, though, definitely stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we got more racing this week, too. We'll be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Xfinity Series. And then, of course, on Sunday night once more for the Super Speedway Truck Series on Thursday, Super Speedway Xfinity Series on Sunday nights. And then, of course, back to the next gens on Monday. So, Boomer, as always, sir, a pleasure doing these with you. And looking forward to seeing you back in the booth with Maxwell on Tuesday. And I'll see if maybe I'm brave enough to kind of get my helmet back on and have some fun over there after taking a little bit of a break myself. So, but yeah, it's a fun one here tonight. Again, appreciate everybody that was watching, and look forward to seeing some more with you here in the next couple of nights.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it, Gael. Thursday nights have been a lot of fun in really an action-packed series. Just about every race has had a completely different storyline and different ending. So definitely be looking to tune back in 2 nights and have some more fast-paced action.
So thank you all so much for watching, for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. Like I mentioned, we'll be back on Thursday for those trucks, so stay tuned for them. And then, of course, Sunday night for the Super Speedway Xfinity cars. So until then, though, hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you back on Thursday. Until then, stay safe. Have a good night.